Sup everyone, welcome to another video, and as you guys can see, Nahida likely is gonna make a rerun soon. Alright, if everything lines up, the stars align, the patterns repeat itself, there's a good chance Nahida is coming in the 3.6 patch alongside Baiju, alongside Kaveh. Now people also been sliding Nilou in that discussion. I don't know, but if Nilou is also coming, I'm just gonna say, damn, I feel really bad for the people who pulled Dia thinking that 3.6 was gonna be crap. But regardless, with this, people have started asking me about Nahida, her constellations. Now, as you guys have see here, I have Nahida level 90, I have her weapon, I have her at C2. What was her talents again? 3.6, right? Of course, people are gonna start molding now, so we're gonna exit out of that page. But let's talk about Nahida, constellations, values. What should you do, right, as a player? And I'm telling you again, if you're a free-to-play player, low spender versus a medium tier spender versus a large spender, your options are different, very different, depending on what characters you have built, depending on what weapons you have at times. Nahida not so much, but other characters at times. So this is just general advice. Please understand this. And I'll do my best to give advice to the low tier spender, the free to plays, the mid tiers, and the whales. But then again, the whales don't need me to give advice. I'm just here to share with you my findings with Nahida, okay? So this is the thing with Nahida. I like to use Nahida and Raiden as a comparison because people have asked me to make this comparison, and that is Raiden's Constellation 2 was a transformative constellation. What does that mean? It means that it changed the way people played her. It opened a door into a playstyle where you could consider her to be a hyper carry, meaning that you take her into a team where she's dealing like 85 to 90%, sometimes even 99% of the damage on the team. That's what a hyper carry is. I don't care how other people define it. A hyper carry is one unit on the team that shares 90% of the damage distribution for the team, right? That's what a hyper carry is. It means the other three characters in the team exist to support this character, and that's what happens when Raiden enters her C2 and C3, right? She becomes a hyper carry. Now, what does that mean? If you look at it from a paper perspective, it means that Raiden went from a character that supports her roster into a character that her roster supports. So that's the difference for Raiden. Raiden became a more selfish character once she turned C2, right? And that is a design concept. What I'm highlighting for you guys is a design concept. You guys might be like, Walrus, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this has nothing to do with it. Does, trust me, it does. This is to help you guys understand, visualize the importance of Nahida and her design concept versus Raiden's. Okay, so Raiden C0, she benefits the team, her team benefits back to her, and she benefits her team. That's how the national team works, right? A national team functions off of this basis. She has a smaller distribution of damage with her teammates, right? Xiangling, in fact, in Raiden National oftentimes can rival Raiden's damage output, and she needs that. That team needs that, but that's how Raiden functions at C0. So now let's look at Nahida. Nahida at C0 is by no means like a bad character. We can all say that she is a Dendro applicator EM buffer, to put in simple terms. Her Dendro application is incredibly consistent, it's very long lasting, and it reaches an incredible range. And it also is dynamic in that it doesn't matter where the hell the enemies run off to. They can go to Narnia, they're still gonna get hit by the Dendro reaction, right? So once you've applied it and you don't have to move, you get a super armor when you're applying it. All of this stuff is great, but what is her design concept? Right now, Nahida, even at C0, most people would say is already completely and utterly busted broken. So does her C2 have the same effect as Raiden C2? Does it transform her? Is it a transformative constellation? Does it change the way we play her? And the answer to that is, in my honest opinion, Nahida C2 is not as transformative as Raiden Shogun C2. Raiden Shogun C2 prior to the arrival of Dendro was a far more worthwhile investment, but with the arrival of Dendro and the potential of using Raiden just as a EM bot in the background, you don't even need Raiden C2 anymore to kind of get uses out of Raiden exclusive to just Raiden National. Now, Nahida C0 to Nahida C2, if you were to just try to look at it with your naked eye, you like some people might even miss it because so much of it exists in the background. It's just a little bit more damage. So like here, I'm gonna take chat off screen for a little bit, but we're gonna read this together and you tell me what the hell this means. Okay. So Burning Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Bursion reaction damage they receive can score crit hits. Crit rate and crit damage are fixed at 20% and 100% respectively. What does that mean? It's a very fancy way of saying it's like pretty much a 20% damage bonus. Like roughly, sure, you might get 20 crits in a row sometimes, but over the span of, let's say, years of playing this game, it's a rough 20% damage increase, roughly. So this constellation is good, but you guys have to understand where the design concept is. This design concept is that when it comes to Nahida, she empowers others. That's it. When you pull Nahida, you have to understand that Nahida doesn't function like Raiden doesn't function like Zhongli. She has a whole different design concept philosophy. That is, the more variations of Dendro comps, the more you invest into other Dendro comps and carries, the better Nahida's constellations are going to start looking, right? You're going to start noticing this more and more and more the more you invest into characters that are Dendro-centric. So there's a good chance that in the future, there are characters that come out that this constellations would not benefit. For example, C0 Nahida works with Melt Ganyu just as well as C2. My point is, you have to be a Dendro enthusiast to really want to invest into this. Whereas Raiden C2 was all about Raiden herself. If you cared about Raiden, if you wanted to play Raiden more and wanted to deal more damage, that constellation was to empower Raiden. Whereas this constellation doesn't do jack for Nahida, but it does so much more for the other characters out there, right? So if you are somebody who loves Nahida and you're trying to get her to Constellation 1, Constellation 2, you have to understand that her entire design philosophy is to help the rest of your compositions. Okay? So if you don't have any plans to invest into at least, I'd say 2 to 3 minimum Dendro team comps, getting a Nahida C1, C2, it's just like, it's not good in value. The more you have outside of Nahida in terms of Dendro invested, the better this constellation is going to serve you. Like, I'm talking about Nilou, I'm talking about Sino, I'm talking about Ahatham, I'm talking about Tainari, maybe Baiju, maybe Kavi, and maybe even some future characters that come out. All of this stuff is just going to become better and better and better for you over time. So it's difficult to put a finger on exactly how good a constellation like this is, because we are actually still so new into the whole Dendro space. You guys might think, oh, Dendro is such an old thing, but it's really not. Dendro has been around for like a little over half a year at this point, I think. But look at other reactions like electro reactions, hydro reactions, power reactions. I mean, a lot of them are still underdeveloped. So who's to say that Dendro is reaching the end of its cycle here? It's not. By no means is Dendro done and finished from the metas and fully developed. This is just continuously going to ever evolve and change into other things, right? So investing into Nahida is great, but I do always want to caution people that investing into Archons, their C0 value is already insane and off the charts. The reason why I think everybody and their grandmas should at least have a C0 Nahida is because C0 Nahida enables an entire like new way of interacting with Dendro team comps. Sure, Kale works, sure, Dendro MC works, but the ease of use for Nahida takes away a lot of the annoyance of dealing with application and durability of such applications. Having excess application is never a bad thing, which in most cases Nahida would bring excess application. It's very rare to see Nahida's Dendro application kind of disappearing and you having to reply. Oftentimes you just kill the enemies before it even finishes. That's why I think a character like Nahida works so well for so many people, is that she comes in a lot of excess. There's a lot of her kit that doesn't need to be there, but it's already there even at C0. And for those of you guys who are saying, but I don't like Dendro, I don't want to play Dendro, Nahida likely can synergize in the future with non-Dendro characters. I have really high hopes for Dendro's involvement in future melt compositions. So without having a proper Dendro applicator, you're likely not going to have very consistent melt reactions, because the whole concept between, in theory, how the future melt is going to work is using a long-lasting Dendro application to keep the flames burning on the enemy so you can proc melt with your cryo characters and not have to switch into your pyro character to apply the pyro again. That's Dendro's job, to keep it burning. So all in all, I think low spenders and free to plays should not be going for Constellations for Nahida, nor should you be going for her weapon. It's such a waste to pour in that amount of resource on a character who is so well designed for C0, and her entire reaction system with Dendro is so well designed for free to plays and low spenders. Take the value where it's at and invest into where things cost more, like maybe go get a Constellation on Yelan, maybe go get the Staff of Homa, I don't know, maybe go for a Constellation on your favorite character. I think there's more value spent there for low spenders and free to plays, as opposed to then trying to upscale Nahida's Constellations, because simply right now we don't have enough rosters even available to fully take advantage of her Constellation. Now maybe if you're a die-hard Sino fan, right, you play Sino religiously, you have Sino at like C2 and you're going to work him towards C6, yeah, maybe getting a C2 Nahida is going to benefit you because of her C2. But I just want to remind you guys that her C2 is also by no means like Raiden C2, right? Ignore defense and reduce defense, kind of different. So that's all I gotta say. I think you guys already know exactly what you want. Hopefully I was able to help you a little bit when it comes to understanding the whole concept of Nahida comparative to Raiden Shogun. They have almost exact opposite design philosophies, where Raiden becomes a very selfish character at C2, Nahida becomes an incredibly generous one at her C2. One gives out, one takes back in. Alright, that's all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to join the live stream if you want to be a part of future discussions. And until next time, I urge you all to stay safe. Peace, bye bye.